Okay, so another topic that I see often in the news is researchers and money. It's always been said researchers earn a lot of money. Research costs a lot of money. Should we pay for it? Should the taxpayer even bother about this, or is it worth it or not? So let me tell you a couple things about money. First, yes, research can be expensive. I absolutely agree. That said, you only get money for your research if it's absolutely worth it. So typically how it works, you apply for a federal grant that could be, for example, in my case, from the National Institutes of Health. I'm writing a very long document that shows my previous experiments, shows my new ideas, what is it that I'm proposing, the new exciting thing that I want to do. And I send it to NIH and they scrutinize it. There are 3 scientists that are working in my field that scrutinize my application and they score it. They score it together with, a lot of other applications. And only if I'm currently among, the 10% of the best out of, dozens of applications, I have a chance of even getting funded. Now say I'm, among the lucky ones that, beat the odds because my idea is so good that everybody thinks that should be done. So I get the money. Most of the money actually goes into personnel because I have to pay the students that work for me. I have to pay the postdocs that work for me. The postdocs are people who have a doctoral degree and they work in the lab for me. Those are actually quite expensive. And depending on what university I work with, I might have to pay my own salary partly or fully. So I'm at the state school, so my salary is covered actually. Most of what, I'll get to that later. So I don't have to worry about this. But I do have to pay the people that do the actual work. So that's the majority of the grant money. Those grants run for a few years, typically 3 to 5 years. So, yes, it's expensive. But we are paying people with it, like real people that live off that money, right? So it's a job machine. Second, pay, salary. People say, scientists make all kind of money. That's complete bullshit. A scientist is actually really cheap. A professor, I'm a professor right here at Illinois State University. My salary, first of all, is only being paid. Why did I stop here? My salary is only being paid for 9 months out of the 12 months of the year. So 3 months in summer, I will not get paid. I don't have a job essentially in the 3 months in summer. That said, I am required, not officially, but for my job as a researcher, I'm required to be in the lab. So 3 months of the year, I work full time. And full time for a researcher is typically between 60 and 70 hours a week. Full time in summer, no pay. Okay, and in terms of how much I make, you can look me up if you want. The state of Illinois publishes all of the incomes of the state employees. You can look me up, but let me tell you, most of the professors earn less than $100,000 a year. All right, that might sound a lot, but think about this. The average age when you become a professor is anywhere between 35 and 45. In my case, it was actually 44, if I remember correctly. I'm so old I can't even remember. But it was around, above 40. So, before that, I earned less than half of that for a few years. And before that, I was a grad student earning around $15,000 a year for a couple of years. And before that, I was a student earning nothing. So, you can do the math. you know, at the age of over 40, you're starting to, for the first time in your life, to actually make a little bit of money. And again, it's clearly below 100,000, right? It's actually closer to 50,000 than to 100,000, but that's what it is. So a professor is rather cheap. If you compare a person with similar education in a professional lab, like, you know, a pharmaceutical company, they will earn 3 times that money. Okay, just for comparison. Or if you look at, you know, the university president, they make more than 5 times what I make, not being a scientist. Alright, so, you know, and people, oh, dead end, that sign should have been earlier. Alright. So, then people say, you know, oh, college professors make all kind of money on the side because, you know, they write books and they sell books, and, you know, they work for journals and make a lot of money. Okay, let me tell you, most of the work that we do for journals is voluntary. We invest at least 1 day every week just for work with journals that we do not get paid for. We review papers that they need reviewing for. We do this in our spare time, and we're not getting paid by the journal for it. So, books, yes, we do write books every once in a while. It costs a lot of time. It costs years to write a book, and people might not realize this, but it costs years to write a book. How much do we earn from those books? Not much. We get a small percentage if it sells well. So here's the big thing. We are scientists. This is not typically a book that the general public will read, right? It's a scientific book, so it's about, you know, a specific field, thanks dude, in science that we work in. And, you know, there might be 100 people worldwide that are interested in that. So your audience might be very small. Those books are also very expensive. We are talking like, you know, $100 or something. So not a whole lot of people will actually read your book. So your income from this is negligible. Now, if you help write a textbook, and listen to this, help write a textbook, because very few people actually write whole textbooks, then you might make a little money on the side, right? It's not going to be a full salary. Oh my god, no. We're talking about $2,000 a year if you write a textbook, right? Or contribute to one, and it sells well. So there you have it. You know, scientists do not really earn a lot of money. It's enough to make an okay living, depending on where you live, right? That's the other thing. You know, I live in Normal, Illinois / Bloomington, Illinois. And, you know, living here is cheap because it's the middle of Illinois. If I were to live in Chicago or Manhattan, I would have an issue because, or San Francisco. As a professor there, I don't earn more, or not significantly more at least. And the prices of living is just ridiculously high there, right? So, you know, I cannot make enough money there to buy a house, for example. Here it's possible. In any case, you know, scientists are not like, you know, your typical corporate people that make a lot of money. On the contrary. So in particular, if, you know, at the professor stages, you know, as a postdoc, you're making, as a postdoc, you're making, you know, typically around, you know, just above 40,000. That's before taxes. And again, at that time, you are at least, you know, at the age of 30, and you have worked for almost nothing before that, and you have probably a lot of debt because you've been a student for a long time. So, I think scientists deserve their pay, and no one should complain about scientists being too expensive. Alright, that's all.